Hello, welcome to the final episode of Bears Bowley Go Disco Deck Lower Decks.
Colon.
This is the episode where we look at the last two of a season. There is a season 2, so this show will be back. But we are looking at. Pardon?
Thankfully.
Yes. We are looking at episode 9, Crisis Point, and episode 10, No Small Parts.
So, Crisis Point. What did you think?
It was a cool holodeck episode.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously a trope that came with TNG onwards, really.
Yes.
Although the Kirk Enterprise did have a proto holodeck in it, so I think there was from what I remember, an episode that was sort of holodeck themed ish.
So we find that Boimler has used all the crew's private logs to create a perfect recreation of the ship.
Yep.
And he's going to use it to help him in an interview with the captain.
Yep.
Because he wants his promotion.
Hmm.
So he's going to ask her questions so he knows what to do. Mariner, however, hijacks this program because the captain has insisted she go to therapy.
Mm.
And in her anger, she hijacks this for some personal therapy.
Yes.
She turns herself into a stereotypical Star Trek villain.
Yes. Obviously, before that reveal, we how she hijacks it is she turns it
as a reminder, spoilers for all the episodes.
She turns Boimler's holodeck program, which is meant to be realistic, into a film. So it even has opening credits, which come and bash in the face and things.
And then it has the scene.
Yes. Yeah.
The slow.
Yeah.
Driving a shuttle.
Yeah.
Around the ship.
Which is beautifully done. Because obviously, I mean, it's famous in particular for the motion picture, although they do reuse it in a couple of others as well.
Yes, and they literally reuse it.
Yeah, literally reuse it.
Yeah.
But obviously in the motion picture, it's minutes long. I know in a 22-minute cartoon, you don't have that much time to spare for that.
They managed to make it feel minutes long.
Yeah, I think it may have been 1 minute long. But this is a testament to the craft of this show, really, that this did feel like a film. It was 22 minutes, but it had, they put a fake film grain on it. They changed the aspect ratio.
When you got to the deck, it was full of lens flares.
Yeah, there was plenty of JJ lens flares in there. There were nods to all of the generations of films. Yeah. So whereas obviously the TV, all the episodes so far have been a nod to all the TV, this was their nod to the cinematic outings.
She makes herself a Khan-like villain as well, doesn't she?
I think she's Khan, and there's definitely some Khan, but she's also.
The thing is, she will know who Khan is, being the fangirl she is, right?
Yeah, but I think there's other elements as well that she draws in. So
she alienates her friends through the process.
And then, of course, there's a lovely little bit where, oh God, what's the first officer called?
Ransom.
Ransom says, "Is she quoting The Tempest?"
Yeah.
Because of course, in as we've discussed, in previous episodes of this long-windedly named show, in Undiscovered Country, there are almost an excessively large amount of Shakespearean quotes. Yeah.
So,
It
you
was a nice
have
little.
like, I love the running gag of like she's obviously there for the vengeance, right? That's why she's kind of
Mm,
doing this. But because of how it's all programmed, you have the
yeah,
captain consist like, I have no idea who you are.
yeah, yeah. Because of course, like with the reveal at the end that, of course, there is an in-program version of her anyway,
Yes.
and so they have a
And
fight
I
at the
love
end.
that reveal
Yeah,
when she rocks up and she's like, stay away from my mother.
yeah,
And the thing is, because of how Boimler's programmed it,
mm,
that is an accurate representation of who she is.
mm.
And I think it's seeing that pushes her to come out the other side, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Because she's
it's
slowly losing it as this episode goes
Oh yeah, she
goes
gets
on.
real dark, doesn't she? Like
Yeah,
and obviously again because this is meant to be a film in 23 minutes, they really have to accelerate it. So she goes from like sort of playfully mad to actually criminally mad
yeah. Like
in a
when you
matter of
see like
about
how
5 minutes.
she
Mm,
treats Tendi
yeah,
and
pirate hoarding Orion.
yeah,
Yeah, like we, which again, like as far as Star Trek goes, and their history of like kind of social issues, this is like mentioning racial stereotypes, I
yes.
suppose.
Like because
Um,
Tendi's point is like that's not the kind of Orion
that
I
I
am.
am,
It's like yeah,
and
there's
not
a lot of
all Orion. Yeah,
pirates,
yeah,
but
yeah, but not all of us. Like, um, and it was a like obviously quite on the nose, but it's quite a nice
yeah.
little Star Trek will always be something that tries to make a point, no matter how fun or silly or dark or whatever it is.
I
They'll
would
make
say
some sort of social commentary at the same time.
this just mostly because of its gimmick, but
Mm.
this is probably one of the best episodes of the season.
It is, yeah. Although it's also one of the more, I think it's the most uncomfortable because
Yes.
you see her descend so quickly into like really really dark villainy
Well,
that
for I guess the
even though
point
you
is
know
that
it's in the holodeck and you know that she's sort of playing a part and that she's stressed and depressed and what have you,
I think the
but
point is
like
she does need therapy.
she does need therapy, yeah. And I think that's but I mean that in itself is distressing. So
Yeah.
it's a difficult episode to watch, but not necessarily bad difficult. Like it's difficult because obviously by 9 episodes in, even though this is a relatively silly cartoon set in the Star Trek
Well,
universe, you actually care about the characters.
these final two episodes up the stakes.
Yeah,
This episode in an emotional manner, and the
and
next episode
episode 10,
in a
physical
physical
manner.
kind of.
Yeah,
We've had these jokes, but this is dangerous kind of.
yeah. And they like I was gonna make a point there and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, yeah, so like yeah, excellent episode. Obviously this does set up the B thread of
Yes.
episode 10 as well.
This
Because
episode ends with Boimler discovering that because of how well he's programmed this ship, this
mm,
fake holodeck ship, he discovers that Mariner is the captain's
daughter.
daughter.
Yeah. Which obviously and it comes out in the holodeck version at least that the captain would fire anyone that found out. So
Yes.
like so it's he's now crapping himself
Yeah.
because he has this big dark secret.
Which takes us
Um
into pretty much right at the start of episode 10.
yeah.
No small
Um
parts, where he
mm,
accidentally reveals to everyone
yeah.
because he's trying to be nice, right? He rocks up and he's very unboimler.
Yeah, I mean, we let's set the scene. So that they're on. I can't remember the name of the planet, but it's a Kirk episode planet.
Yes.
Where it's a like an old westy type of. And for fans of Rick and Morty, this that planet is referenced quite heavily in one of the early Rick and Morty ones, where there's a purge planet, and this is a purge planet where a computer is their god, basically. And Kirk in the original episode convinces these simpletons that live on this old west planet to stop listening to the computer and just live their lives. And of course, the Federation has just assumed that they'll listen to them and have not gone back to visit since. So this is what, at this point, a good 130 years after Kirk would have been there.
I would say
it's a good 100.
The planet's moved on.
Yeah, it has moved on.
It's not a Western planet anymore.
Yeah, it's maybe turn of the century, turn of the 20th. But they've got this is officially their second contact mission.
Yeah.
Like 100 years after Kirk was there. So they've gone back and realized that Landru, the computer, has taken over again, and they all in disgust and desperation, oh God, stop listening to Landru. So anyway, so Mariner and Boimler start handing out some crayons after and other art supplies to encourage
some illegal supplies,
some contraband to encourage free thought, essentially. Of course, they should have beamed back onto the ship at this point. So the crew are calling them.
Boimler's put his comms badge down on a
on the side somewhere as they're handing out the gear, and of course the comm badge is activated because they're calling. So and Boimler thinks that he can't be heard by anyone else, so he's having a chat with Mariner about the fact that the captain is her mother, and for some reason it's everyone can hear it on the whole ship. So
yes,
so it's
this is one that puts our two best friends in conflict.
Yes,
with each other,
because
they both decide they want the promotion that Ransom is
interviewing for. Yeah.
And it sounds like Boimler goes with this time and time again, and just nothing ever happens.
Yeah,
but it's the first time Mariner's gone for it.
Yeah,
and there's a moment where they're both trying to convince him, and Ransom's like, "Well, Boimler, you're very promotable, but you're the captain's daughter."
Yeah. And of course, she decides to go buy the book for the episode as well.
Yes.
So she does her hair right and wears the uniform correctly, and she's incredibly good at it. Yeah. Because she knows how to play the game. Like more than anyone else, she probably knows where the boundaries are, what the rules are, like where.
That's the thing. She chooses not to play it, but she can.
She certainly can play the game. And
this is all happening against the backdrop of the Pakled.
Yep.
Attacking Solvang, which has been a running joke of a ship throughout the series, that its captain is useless.
Yeah. And of course, it's had a big shiny new refit.
Yeah. You see it playing with plastic on
on the console. It gets absolutely obliterated. Every single person on it dies. Which, really shocking, obviously. Again, I mean, like, as much as this has been quite a brutal, quite an adult cartoon, it's still shocking even within this.
Of actual Star Trek come into play here. Not that this is an actual Star Trek, but
No, but I know what you mean. Like, but I mean, even in actual Star Trek, even in live action stuff, when there's bad deaths, when there's like obliteration, Like it's so well timed. It always feels like it is always a gut punch. Like oh crikey, you know. So opening an episode where a whole ship just gets wiped out in one go is like, I mean,
And
that was an eye opener.
it's stark to the tone of a show.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they answer the distress call, and because the Salvang was another California class,
yeah,
and there's the joke that the Packard think every ship is the Enterprise.
yes. Because if you can't remember the Packard, they were in a TNG episode. They are a very stupid race of people, and in the TNG episode, they steal Geordie LaForge because what they do is they're like really dumb Borg in that they steal technology to make themselves better.
They've obviously stolen themselves up to a very powerful ship.
Yeah, like incredibly powerful ships, like because they've got so much technology that they've like just bolted on to these absolute monstrous ships of theirs that they just rip starships apart.
We do have a new crew member this week as well. Peanut Hamper.
Oh yes, Peanut Hamper. Yeah,
again a robot.
Yes, again a TNG callback. There's an episode where these robots are introduced. It's on a mining colony, or a former mining colony anyway, where there's a scientist who has a commission from from Starfleet or from the Federation to make something. I can't quite remember what it was. Slightly inconsequential to what actually happened, because the real star invention was these little robots, which she was a huge fan of cybernetics. The scientist that is absolutely adored Data, wanted to study Data, wanted to get to know Data, and so these robots have a very similar positronic net to what Data has, and they find out in that episode that it's so similar, in fact, that they've become sentient, and they so of course in the time between that TNG episode and this, they've become sentient so much that they've developed character. They've chosen voices for themselves. They procreate.
And this is the first one in Starfleet.
And
And it bookends the season nicely because as we introduce Tendi in the first episode to the ship, it's her job to introduce Peanut.
Yeah.
Peanut is very good at what she does,
but not very good at what she doesn't.
Yeah.
In the original outing of these robot creatures, they have a built-in replicator in their nose, so that they can change. They assess a situation and then create a brand new tool for whatever they need. And of course, what they haven't seemed to have grasped so far is that some physical tasks, like just simply picking up something, but because she's chosen to be a doctor or a nurse, she's developed all the correct tools for performing very delicate surgery. So there's a lovely little joke where you see her making a mess in one of the cargo bays because she can't pick some things up, and then of course she's invited to suture up someone in the sick bay, and you think, oh god, she's going to murder him. And then, of course, she's absolutely precise. And so even in... Go on, sorry.
She ultimately abandons the ship.
Yeah.
To its fate when destruction seems imminent.
Yeah, she's the one person or being that can safely get the computer virus from the ship to the big alien ship, and
refuses to do so and just basically beams out of air.
Well, okay, she's got a built-in transporter, so she transports herself out of the ship, and
that brings us to the return of Badgie.
Yeah,
I realize that Badgie can destroy the Packard ship.
Yep.
So because she beams out of there, it means that Shax and Rutherford go on a mission to take Badgie to destroy the Packard ship. Badgie still hating Rutherford.
Yeah.
Uses it as a way to kill him.
Yes. Although does agree to help.
Yes.
But obviously, with the caveat that he's going to kill Rutherford while doing it. Yeah.
But Shax, who we've mentioned in passing, but he is the chief of security.
The Bajoran head of security.
Yes.
Yeah.
He sacrifices himself to save Rutherford.
Yes.
Pushing him back onto the shuttle, but does unfortunately die.
Which, again,
that's one that really hits as well because it's one of our crew.
It's one of our crew, and it's one of and you sort of don't expect it to happen, and yet actually, when you look back at Tasha Yar, she dies at the end of season 1, and this is sort of fitting in a way, and even on DS9, to be honest, the head of security in DS9 has always been Odo, but there's always been a Federation one as well. Yeah. So, but the Federation one sort of doesn't die in the in DS9, but becomes so obsolete that you just never see the character again. So I think this is quite a fitting one, really. I think they're setting up that Mariner is going to get promoted, at least into the security division. Whether she becomes head of security or not, I don't know, because at the end of this episode, it's her that realizes the thinking out of the box thing, because her mother says, "Look, we're in dire straits. We don't need straight Mariner. We need rogue Mariner. You save us." And then, of course, right at the end of the episode, they have an agreement to try and actually work together.
And you have this more ships show up.
Yeah.
And the Titan shows up to save the day. Or as the Packard call it, another Enterprise.
Another Enterprise, yes. So the Titan shows up with its big whopping cannons.
Yeah, this is our first on-screen appearance of the Titan. I think it's the first of its line, so it's a Titan class.
It looks like it's an advanced version of the Sovereign class that the Enterprise E is.
Much smaller than the Sovereign.
Yeah, I mean it's somewhere potentially between the Sovereign class and whatever the Voyager was in size.
Yeah, it's certainly of the
same
design
it's of that era
as the Sovereign.
Because obviously in that
a lunar class.
It's a lunar class there.
Yes.
Because obviously in that time period as well, you've got the Prometheus class, which appears in Voyager at some point.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough. And there's obviously in this episode the what's the name of the main ship again?
The Cerritos.
The Cerritos gets decimated, not beyond repair. So of course we get a scene where we get to see the fixed Cerritos.
The Titan has not upgraded its uniforms yet.
No, but they don't have to. Part of Starfleet is that there's always a certain choice by the captain as to which uniform they want to wear. Plus,
I think it's also a fact that it's phased upgrades, in the fact that if you're on a 5-year mission,
well, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? That if you're on a 5-year mission,
5-year-old uniform by the time you get back.
But then at the same time, I also think it's ever so slightly based on what the purpose of the ship is. The Titan is quite obviously meant to be an ass kicker, so that seems to be the more military uniform, because obviously it's the one that we see established in First Contact, which is like deep into the Borg War, and at the same time deep into the Dominion War. So it's a
DS9
uniform.
switches over to that uniform.
Yeah, so of
Obviously,
course
Voyager never did, but that's because
they
were
were lost
in deep space.
So of course it's a like it does seem to be a military era uniform, and so if the Titan is armed to the teeth in the way that, because it comes in and like obviously these Pakled ships have been established as being able to literally tear a ship apart.
Yeah.
And the Titan comes in and just destroys them, like absolutely wipes the floor with them. So I assume, maybe
The
Riker
Titan is going to be a design. They've had like Starfleet's been like what, a decade of war at this point
on two fronts as well. In fact, maybe at this point, I think it's actually like it might be as much as 15 years of war at this point. I can't remember exactly what the star dates like.
I think the wars are over.
Yeah,
but they designed a lot of military.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, when Defiant first turns up in Deep Space Nine, that was built partly as a result because they knew the Borg were coming. The war hadn't technically started, but it was also partly built because there's always going to be some behind the scenes weapons development and stuff like that. There's always going to be stuff just in case the Romulans kick off, or just in case the Klingon.
It almost feels like the California class is kind of designed as quick, easy to build operations ships, like the science, engineering, medical, because we've put all this effort into these warships, but we still need some. So the California is just quick to
it's
bash together.
Yeah, it's made of the parts bins.
Yeah.
So I mean, we talked about this before we started filming today. Riker in particular, but also Troy are perfect.
Did we see an animated Riker sitting down? I can't recall if we got to see a.
I don't think we did, but I hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is.
I love Ransom hitting on Troy.
Oh yeah. Even though she's married at this point, like because they got married in First Contact, I think.
Yeah, and there's the implication that they do know each other, like Ransom and Troy do.
Yeah. But so like Riker is Riker, but like dialed up to 11. And obviously, I mean, it is Frakes playing Riker, but he's obviously having fun with it.
Yeah,
like you can hear the joy in there.
If he was playing a wonderfully toned down old Riker in Picard, here he's getting to play an exaggerated Riker.
This is the stereotype of Riker.
Yeah.
From
and having just recently been made the captain as well.
I'm not sure how long he's been a captain. I think he's probably had 5 years at this point.
Yeah, you could be right, actually. What's the star date of?
I know it's on Wiki. I have looked it up before. I think this is about 3 or 4 years after Nemesis, at least. It might even be longer.
2280, 1 year after Nemesis.
1 year after him. All right. So he is a fresh captain then. So
5 years before the earliest flashback in Picard.
Yeah. So
none of the Romulan stuff has happened yet.
No, it hasn't. So they could lead to that, which is nice. If it lasts long enough, then it could lead to that. Which means we might get some really good jokes, because they could jump into the Kelvin universe when they get there.
So we end on a bit of a status quo shift. Rutherford has lost his memory.
because he's had his Vulcan
which
implant pulled out.
excites Tendi because we get to become best friends all over again.
Yeah,
which is rather sweet.
it is. Yeah,
but at least from Mariner's perspective, Boimler betrays her.
Yeah,
and takes a promotion to lieutenant on the Titan.
Yeah, which of course, being that at the point would have probably been the flagship ship in the fleet. Because the Enterprise.
There'd still be the Enterprise E.
Yeah, but I mean, I sort of get the feeling
captain
that Picard would have been captain, but at that point, Picard is almost a captain that just hasn't quite been promoted to admiral yet. So he's almost just an admiral, a mobile admiral, as opposed to.
I would say the Enterprise is probably still the flagship.
Yeah, but I mean but the Titan is certainly the number 2. I remember
there was and it's completely non-canon now.
Yeah,
there was a tie-in comic to the first Star Trek Kelvin film, Star Trek 09, where they'd managed to bring Data back, and Data was the captain of the E. But obviously, that is completely 100%.
They've wiped that out of canon now.
Well, yeah, because Picard.
Oh, yeah.
Data never came.
Yeah.
Data remained dead for sure. Because.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. Because before.
That is one of my favorite things about Picard, actually. That really touching scene at the end.
Yeah.
Between Picard and Data in his mind.
It's lovely.
It's such a lovely scene.
So season as a whole. What do you think?
Quite,
oh yeah, go on then.
Finished with we've got a status quo
shake
up. Boimler's obviously reinventing himself on the Titan a bit, and you see that
he's more confident.
Tons of messages left by a friend.
Mariner.
Ask him if he's coming out, and Mariner's just left a shed ton of messages for him, which is it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
because the first showrunner has said that at least it's not going to be first episode, then we're off the Titan. We're going to see the Titan for a couple of episodes next.
Yeah,
he's going to end up back on Cerritos at some point.
Yeah,
obviously, but we're going to see. The question is it a depromotion, or does he go back to the Cerritos as a lieutenant?
I think it'd be more interesting dynamically if he's a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Unless it's because Mariner has to go on a mission with him on the Titan, and she sabotages the mission so that he gets a demotion.
Thing is, I'm not sure if their friendship can actually survive that.
So, I mean, either way. I think, obviously, I mean, that's another nice thing with the freedom of cartoons, in that they don't have to physically build 2 lots of sets. So if they do want to have a show that's set on 2 ships for 2 or 3 episodes, then that's great.
Deck.
They can do it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's really just a question of just drawing it again. Like, I say just drawing it.
They drew it for this.
I know, but I mean, it's that. Yeah. But it's like the fact that the doctor is a cat, and that the therapist is a
you get
bird.
To see more aliens and
I mean, it's something that they said when they made the cartoon series for the original series, that it was freeing to an extent.
The Doctor is one of the aliens from that cartoon series, right?
Yeah. The species, not the character itself.
And I think the cat species is introduced in that cartoon series, the original one as well. I do like that we got to hear Riker's equivalent of engage or make it so.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was off the top of my head.
Warp factor 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I love about Riker?
Go on.
Is he's the super confident ladies man, right? But when you think about it, he's such a dweeb. Like,
Yeah, definitely. So, back to the previous episode.
yes.
Riker just made me remember. Of course, one of the other things that played with is twins. And of course, Riker's had an evil twin. Of course, his twin, who does appear on DS9 as well, I'd forgotten about that, joins the Maquis.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Thomas Riker, isn't it?
Oddly enough, at the same time that on TNG, Riker is also undercover in the Maquis. So both Will and Tom are in the Maquis at the same time. So, although they probably didn't realise. They've what else have they got? And then of course, like Nemesis deals with not twinning but cloning. So it's another Star Trek trope. Anyway,
the interesting thing that if that episode is dealing, and I assume by dealing with twins, you mean Hollow Mariner and that real Mariner is the evil Mariner. Like,
yeah,
it's been a great season.
Been an incredible season. I think
it's great Star Trek. It's one of the better adult animated comedies I've seen in some time.
Yeah,
because I think good comedy and adult animated comedies sometimes forget this.
Mm.
You need heart. You need to care about the characters, and this show makes you care about the relationships between those characters.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't just like
you feel Mariner's sting when Boimler goes to the Titan.
Yeah, it's not just like dick and fart jokes with and a liberal spread of swearing because they can, because it's an adult show. Like this is obviously it's got more raw humor than it would be if it were a family cartoon. But in the same way that
it's not Family Guy in space.
No, although I'd say that Family Guy and American Dad and the likes. I mean, even early Simpsons when that was more adult.
Simpsons 100% had heart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That like
American Dad, I would say does. Family Guy, I would say has zero. I don't think Family Guy has heart. For me, that's a reason I don't like Family Guy.
Oh, fair enough. I disagree, but I think that's for a different discussion. I prefer American Dad. I
think Rick and Morty, despite me not liking to say I'm a Rick and Morty fan, just because
of Rick and Morty fans,
the whole image that's become.
Yeah.
But Rick and Morty is more than a Pickle Rick joke.
Oh, significantly.
There is a serious heart and exploration of messed up people in Rick and Morty and the damage people cause.
I mean, I'd say that this show is definitely informed by what Rick and Morty has done. Rick and Morty is most certainly a riff on Star Trek and Back to the Future and stuff like that, and sci-fi as a whole. But it heavily lifts from Star Trek. I didn't realize quite how much it lifted from Star Trek until
100%. Was in Rick and Morty definitely lifts from Star Trek.
Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty. Until my recent watch through of Star Trek as a whole. I didn't realize how much the Rick and Morty team had gone, okay, that's a cool but weird idea that no one will remember. We're having that and we're going to make exactly the same episode, but with Rick and Morty in it. And so obviously they've done that so well. And again, with love and respect to the source material, that obviously this show, Lower Decks, really had quite a bit of an uphill struggle. I would say
Lower Decks, I will say, could have gone either way, but it's 100% a Star Trek show.
I think that's the thing. I mean, it could have been such a joke, or it could have been obviously we've said how much Mariner is a fangirl. It could have been so much hollow fan service. It could have been too many fart jokes and too many dick jokes or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just there is a respect here, and they really, really know and love Star Trek. And it's a 23-minute like comedy cartoon version of it. But this is Star Trek as much as anything else has ever been Star Trek.
Definitely.
And of the new generation of Star Trek, I know, again, we've said this before, I think this is the strongest first season.
I would agree there.
Yeah.
I think you like Disco season 1 more than I do. I like Picard season 1 more than you do. But I think we can both agree that we both like this a lot.
Oh, a hell of a lot. Yeah, I think I know why you don't like Discovery season 1 as much as I do. I think the first few episodes are difficult, but then I think the payoff is worth it. And I think as a whole,
I don't even disagree
actually,
with you there. I just don't particularly fancy watching it again. Like,
no, I can totally get you. I totally get. Although I do think, having watched it a second time recently, I say recently, it was several months ago when I started all this rewatch through. I do think season 1 is better a second time through.
Knowing what's coming might change my viewpoint on it, because at the time, and because they weren't giving us as viewers any hint of what was really coming, it was very much like, oh, is this what Star Trek is now? Is it this depressed kind of dour thing? And obviously Discovery proved it wasn't that. And it was that for a reason. It had to be dark to bring the light back. But it just wasn't, for me, enjoyable to watch at the time. I'm a big fan of Star Trek Discovery now.
I'd certainly recommend trying to watch it again, because I think you'll see it through a different light that you did the first time. I still don't think that you'll think it's the best first season of the new stuff, in the same way that I don't think I'll ever think that Picard was any better than it is, no matter how good season 2 or 3 or what have you.
We are going to carry on reviewing new Star Trek as it comes out. I have no idea what's next. There's many options.
I think the likelihood is it might even be another cartoon. It might be the Nickelodeon cartoon that's next.
But we've seen nothing other than, we haven't seen character designs. All we know from the Nickelodeon cartoon is the plot.
Yeah.
The core concept.
There's also Strange New Worlds is the most likely live action one to come next.
I believe that is in post now.
Yeah, so we'll probably get to that.
But then I would have thought Picard, where's Picard season 2 along its?
I think it's only starting filming this month. Although I think they know what they're doing, obviously. They've had.
There is every chance Lower Decks season 2 is the next Star Trek we get.
Maybe.
Just because of how far in advance animation tends to work.
Yeah. So, but before that,
we would probably be reviewing
the TNG films.
Yes.
Because I am now in my big rewatch into season 4 of DS9 and about to start season 2 of Voyager. So when I've already watched Generations, so as soon as I've got through the TNG films, then myself and James will sit down and we'll review.
And then we are going to do the Kelvin films as well, I think.
Yes, I think we will.
I at least very much enjoy 2.5 of them.
2 of them.
Sorry, I rephrase that. I very much enjoy 1.5 of them.
Interesting. Why?
I think I'll go as far as 2 of them, but I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about the first one.
I think
again.
I think we're going to have some interesting discussions with that, because as we've talked about it off screen. But it might actually be a genuine parallel universe rather than one that they split, because Kirk's birthdays are roughly.
They are, but it's still still a split. I don't know how the birthdays are split, but it's not a genuine parallel universe.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, on that note, for the time being, live long and prosper. Our channel will continue. Coming soon, we've got season 2
Yep.
of The World in 50 Films.
When Matt is forcing me to watch a film I hate, I just want that on record.
Yeah, fair enough. We are going to cover Scandinavia in season 2. So starting with Denmark, and then moving our way around, and we'll kind of loop our way around so that we finish in Iceland, because we think that season 3 is going to be North America. So the balloon can have a rest in Iceland before it
And then
jumps.
it's got a long trek ahead of it.
And then it's got a long circumnavigation to come home.
Are we doing a... If we're stopping in Iceland before North America,
yeah,
I might be getting my maps wrong. Isn't there Greenland?
There is Greenland, which is technically Denmark.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Do we take a pit stop and watch 2 Danish films then?
A double feature Denmark, if you want. Yeah, fair enough. So we might
probably not, but
we might have 6 episodes of Around the World in 50 Films season 2. But that's to be discussed. So yeah, live long and prosper, everyone, and we'll see you when we've got some more Trek. Thank you.